Welcome, welcome. All right. Sally here with Alchemy of Healing, where we're combining nature's remedies and the healing power of your own body. First, my disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I do not diagnose. Only you can make decisions for you. You have free will to either accept or reject what I share with you. You decide. Why me? Well, I've been a practicing hygienist for over 40 years. And in those years, I taxed my body, my mind, and my spirit. And for 35 years, probably longer than that, I have been studying and learning about alternative therapies and how they can support us. And what has happened with that is I've learned how they can blend and balance and layer on each other to help support me and my clients in many amazing ways. So yeah, I studied holistic therapies and remedies, and I tried them all first on myself. And why you? Well, maybe you're dealing with stress, anxiety, headaches, digestive issues, chronic pain, and you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Or you're okay most of the time, but you want to feel better, maybe more natural ways to take care of yourself and your family. And both now and when things arise that you really want to take care of fast. Or maybe you're committed to just learning new skills all the time to maximize your body's performance. You're a lifelong learner because you know your body was designed intelligently and you want to understand what your body is telling you. So you've heard that imagination is more powerful than knowledge, and we can thank Albert Einstein for saying that. And so what I'd like you to do today is we're going to play with our imagination. I'd like you to imagine that you're standing in a yard or a grove, a lemon grove, and you see this beautiful lemon on the tree. And the sun is shining and you can hear the bees buzzing around and you're walking toward that lemon and you reach up and you pluck it off the tree and you roll it in your hands and you take a smell. And as you breathe in the aroma of the lemon, it feels clean. It's invigorating, it's uplifting, and you smell it again. And then I want you to imagine that you're taking a bite of this lemon and the juices are running in your mouth. You take a huge bite and you're chewing this, and notice what is happening with your facial expressions. What is happening with the saliva in your mouth? Because if you're like me, it's like, really? Wow, that is strong. It's quite a bite to a lemon in my opinion, but it really gets the saliva flowing. And that's your imagination. So whenever people tell me that, I just can't, I don't have a good imagination. I can't pretend anything. I can't make believe anything. I say, boy, you are one lucky person, because that must mean that you have not a worry. You never worry. You're never concerned about anything. You don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't worry about any bills that are coming in or any time constraints, because you can't imagine what it's going to be like tomorrow or in the next hour. Or maybe Or the downside of that is you can't remember where your car is because you can't imagine in your mind where you parked it. Don't have that memory, right? So imagination, we all have it. We just use it at different levels. And we're going to tonight play with imagination to increase it and connect more with it. And we're going to talk about connecting our head and our heart to create your best life. It's head-heart synchronization. And tonight is perfect for you if you feel scattered, out of sorts, clumsy, or just out of balance. Because tonight you're going to hear 4 agreements to make with yourself that can reduce the angst of your engagement with the world. You're going to enjoy some exercises that will bring you back to balance. And discover that if you are interested and learning and experiencing more, you're going to be given the opportunity and an insight into essential oils and just one more reason to use them. So I'm going to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, you can write this down on a piece of paper. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the guy that just got run over by the car in the sign, or 10 feeling pretty good, what number do you give yourself? What rating would you give yourself? And Dr. Stephen Covey, I mean, who doesn't, I mean, I remember him. I mean, I think he was the first motivational speaker I ever heard of. He says, we see the world not as it is, but as we are. Which brings us to the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And this is what he basically says, that there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. There are 2 kinds of energy around 2 kinds of emotions. There's a primary emotion and a secondary emotion around any event. So I think of the time when I was in elementary school and the teacher, I had to get up and present something. I don't remember what it was. And I started to stutter. So the primary event was I was embarrassed by stuttering. I didn't want to get up in front of the class. And so I was unsure of myself. And then I embarrassed myself. The secondary emotion came on when the kids in the class laughed. And so the secondary emotion is often what we remember. The secondary emotion of shame that I got from that was the story that I told myself for a long time. Now, what would have been helpful would have been if the teacher would have said, oh, you know, Sally, that's okay. You know, we all make mistakes. Why don't you take a breath? We're right behind you. Start again. And that could have changed that event from shame into a lesson of, yes, we make mistakes, and yet we can pick ourselves up and move on. Which is actually the lesson that when I looked back on it, changed how I felt about that. So nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. The way I remembered, the way I thought about the event, and now the way I think about the event are two totally different things. We have a choice. So Don Miguel Ruiz talks about being impeccable with your word. And that's basically being honest with yourself and with others and speaking your truth, speaking in integrity. So you don't want to take responsibility, you don't want to gossip or speak ill of anybody. You want to take responsibility for everything you say and everything you do. Your part in everything, you're responsible. And that gives you the power to change it. The next rule or assumption is don't take anything personally. Don Miguel speaks of the wounds that we have. And he asks us to think about emotional wounds as actual physical wounds on our skin. So if we would go up to somebody and touch a sore spot on them, an open wound, they're going to respond in a not so pleasant way, right? And so think about, we don't know people's wounds because we cannot see their emotional wounds. So the reason we don't take anything personally is because we don't know when we're going to touch those wounds of theirs and cause a reaction. As long as we are doing unto others as we would have them do unto us, and being impeccable with our word and being honest in a kind way, it's really not your responsibility how they react. It's your responsibility how you respond to their reaction. And don't make assumptions. So no doubt you've heard the adage, never assume. So I cannot assume that my husband is going to understand what I need from him unless I verbalize it. We've been together forever, and yet he can't read my mind. I just don't get it. But if I don't, so I have learned, I would come home with bags of groceries and he'd think I was doing some of my workout. He would think I was like, this is part of my exercise routine. But I had to ask, would you take some of these bags into the kitchen for me? Can you help me unload the car? Otherwise, he's not going to think about it. And so if I don't share with him what I want, I cannot judge him for his response. He has the choice whether to help or not, and he has his own things, but I can never assume. And we always want to do our best. So if you always are doing your best, that means your best may be different days. Your best may be different at different times of day. And some days you wake up all perky and ready to go, all fired up. And other days it's like a little more draggy. Do your best at where you are. And if we stumble, pick ourselves up. There's no judgment. So Don Miguel is reminding us to be impeccable with our word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And always do your best. And the control we have between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. And Viktor Frankl, if you haven't read Man's Search for Meaning, It's an amazing book, How a Man in the Concentration Camps in World War II found meaning in his life. And he discovered what he found was that people who could find meaning in even the smallest of things, who could find compassion in even the most difficult of circumstances, are the ones who survived. They found that space between stimulus and response. They found the pause. So we've learned some background and some base and some mindset ideas. And so now we're going to move on to the experience. So who wants to reduce stress in the moment, feel positive, focused, calm, and energized, perform at your best, and access creativity, intuition, and higher level decision making? Me. Well, Dina Mims did, and she has some nice things to say about working with me. And she said, especially during these stressful times of COVID, it was really nice to know that she was in good hands with me, and she really, we had a great time. She came away with calm, more focus, and clarity about how she should move forward in her life. HeartMath Institute is where the science and energy, medicine, energy, healings connect. I'm suggesting, if I may, check out heartmath.org. It's a great place. And so what we're going to do is use something from HeartMath Institute. They study the energy of the earth and how it affects us and how our energy affects the earth. And you may have noticed in the Facebook post in Welcome Your Blissful Journey that about that heart math, where we're born into an energy, a soup that is just not, it's draining. The energy is very taxing. And so it behooves us, it's in our control to connect with our greatest resource, this huge planet, Mother Earth. And so what I'm going to do, this is I'm going to do that alchemy thing here. I'm going to use a meditation process, which is something that I've learned from somewhere else. And I'm going to combine it with this exercise that we're going to do. If you feel uncomfortable with hypnosis, as light as this is, excuse me, it's profoundly deep and you have total control the whole time. So it is a hypnosis that we'll start with. I'll walk us through that part, but if you don't feel comfortable with the hypnosis part, I'll tell you to jump in the breathe into your heart part, okay? So we can do that too. But I'm gonna ask you to, if you're gonna join in the hypnosis, I want you to pin your eyeballs up to your eyebrows. So I want you to look up at your eyebrows really, really hard. And you're going to notice some tension in your eyeballs and in the muscles around your eyes. And let that be okay. I'm going to ask you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth as you keep your eyes looking up into your eyebrows. Another breath in and another breath out. And on this next breath in, on the out breath, I want you to keep your eyeballs up, but close your eyelids. One more breath in, and on the out breath, look down like you're looking down a flight of steps. And we're going to start at step 10. And step 10 takes you to step 9. And you're going deeper and wider into your knowing. And you're going down step 8 into your heart, and 7 deeper into your all inner knowing, and wider and step deeper onto step 6 and 5. And then another breath as you go deeper. Step 4 and step 3 and step 2 and deep into step 1. And now we're going to start breathing into our hearts. So I'd like you to use that imagination that we've been nurturing, and just imagine that as you breathe in, you're breathing in through the pores of your chest into your heart. With every in-breath, the oxygen is going into your heart. And with every out-breath, you're breathing out through the pores in your chest. In and out. And in and out. And now notice and pull into your heart the vibrations of compassion and caring and benevolence and joy, and the heart-based virtues. Just allow those to resonate in your heart, and notice how your heart expands. And this is the beat of the earth. This resonance that you're feeling in your heart is the same frequency as the earth. Notice how that feels as you're breathing into your heart and you're experiencing the heartfelt emotions. I'd like you to notice your mind now. And notice that your mind is bigger than your brain. It's everywhere. And notice if your mind is busy or calm, or what's going on up there. And be okay with however your mind is showing up. And I'd like you to invite your mind to settle in to your heart and be supported by your heart. And notice how that feels to have your heart connected to the earth and your mind supported by your heart. And this is always a place you can come back to. And because you registered for this call, I'm going to be sending you out 6 videos with more exercises from HeartMath Institute. They're short, and they'll help you connect with your heart and support your heart, and thereby supporting the earth at the same time that you're getting the benefits. So I'm going to ask you to come on back. When I count to 5, you're going to be all refreshed You're going to feel enlightened. You're going to feel uplifted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And take a deep breath. Our next experience is heart-centered therapy. Heart-centered therapy is based that underneath everything is love. Everything we do is because by doing it or having it, we'll feel better for it. And that's the way everybody does. We all want to feel better. And some people have no clue how to get what they want without hurting others. So they are misdirected. But do keep in mind that they're only doing the things that they're doing because they want to feel better. And doing what they're doing is either distracting them or having them feel better for a bit. And fortunately, we know better. We know that living in our hearts and supporting ourselves, and that's why you're here tonight, to learn more ways to balance your body so that you can feel better and support others just because you feel better, not because you have to do anything. So I'd like you to just imagine, just pretend that you're looking from your mind's eye down into the right side of your body. And just notice if there's a color, a vibration. Just notice what you feel in the right side of your body. And now I'm going to ask you to look into the left side of your body. And do the same thing. Is there a color, a shape, a vibration? Just notice what you see or feel or sense. You can't do it wrong. So it is what it is, right? So now that you've got a little sense of right and left, and just notice how that feels. One side may feel bigger than the other. I'd like you just to notice your right side. And we're going to pretend that you have some eyes on the right side of your body. Eyes like eyeballs, right? These could look like cartoon eyes. They could look like somebody's eyes that you know. But just notice. If you don't see any eyes, just ask that your eyes open and see if that makes a difference. And once you have those eyes, if they do show up, just notice where they're focused. Are they looking ahead? Are they looking down, off to the side? Just notice what emotion is in those eyes. Do they look excited? Do they look put off? Do they look skeptical? And now let's look on your left side and notice what you see there. Look at the eyes that are there. Notice what they look like. Are they cartoon type eyes? Are they familiar eyes? If you don't see them, ask them to open. Notice the emotion that's in those eyes. And notice where they're looking. So just pay attention to if they even know that you have a left and right side. Are they communicating at all? Is the colors that are in your body, is the left and right side, is there a line down the middle, or do they mix? So what I'm going to ask you to do now is just invite, if those eyes are not, if those faces aren't looking at each other, to look at each other. And have the left eyes look into the eyes on the right. And let the left eyes look into the eyes, or the other way around, sorry. But you know, have the other eyes switch around. And just have them notice what emotion they're seeing. So if the right eyes are looking into the left eyes, what emotion? So if I'm looking from my right to my left, my right side actually is looking, you know, kind of, actually, believe it or not, a little calm. And the left side is looking a little surprised. Like, oh, you're looking at me? And so then you're going to say, okay, so the left side is going to look into the right and notice if the emotions change. And just have them kind of get to know each other. And sometimes what you'll see is one side of the body feels like it's doing all the work. And it's really kind of angry, or maybe it's exhausted. And the other side is like having a great time, eating bonbons, and, you know, has their feet propped up. It's really interesting to see. And just open the lines of communication. And so just note where you are, and we can always come back to that. Because we're going to move on a little more, because we've opened the lines of communication to create balance between the left and the right side. Well, now we're going to talk about our brain, because we have a left and a right side in our brain, and it actually has a thick nerve tract that's supposed to go between it, but there's also a membrane that runs between the brain from the front to the back. And sometimes that membrane can get damaged or thick, and not allow ideal communication between both sides of our brain. And we need them both to work together, because who wouldn't want both sides working in balance? When they're not in balance, or when there's a damage in that corpus callosum, you can have vision and hearing impairment, low muscle tone, facial abnormalities, seizures, developmental delays, language delays, and poor motor communication. So we're going to go back and think of this infinity symbol, and I'm going to ask you to do the colors again. And I'd like you to look at the right side of your brain and notice if it's what color it is, or vibration. And look at the left side of your brain and check in with that. What color and what vibration? And then we're just going to do an infinity symbol from the left side of the brain to the right side of the brain. Back and forth. Back and forth. And you'll continue to do that until you feel a sense of calming balance. And when you can use both the creative side and the analytical side in balance, wow. I mean, you're firing on all cylinders then. The sky's the limit. So we've been talking a little bit about, balance and the control that we can have in our lives, because our thoughts control our feelings. Your feelings control your actions. Your actions create the events in your life. So how does it feel to rule your world? So now I'm going to ask you to check in with yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you feel like a truck ran over you, and 10 being pretty darn good, feeling okay. And just write that down. So you've experienced heart-centered therapy like Donna Davis, and hopefully you got the same experience about feeling like your burdens have been lifted away. And I have a bonus for you, a bonus ticket. You're valued at $125. You get a virtual heart-centered therapy session. If you liked how that felt and you wanted to go deeper, you wanted some help and guidance with it, I'm happy to offer you 20% off. So that means that a session for you is only $99 since you registered for this call. I will be having the links in the chat, so you will be getting those in your email of the replay, along with the replay, of course. So, sometimes, even when we plan our day and we prep for our day, my morning prep is meditation and journaling, but sometimes by lunch, I'm just all wrung out, just like too much. So what are some quick go-tos? And I have to tell you, we're talking about vibration, and I know there are many things. I'm going to use frequency and vibration interchangeably, and I know there are different definitions for both. But when we think about a healthy body, it's vibrating at a megahertz between 62 and 68 megahertz. And disease sets in at 59 to 60 megahertz. So how can we keep our vibrations up so we can stay healthy? Because we have cold and flu, between 58 and 60 megahertz. It can settle in on us. Viral infections like Epstein-Barr can hit us at 55 megahertz. I mean, that's COVID as well. And then cancer, if our vibration is less than, is about half of what it quote should be. Cancer can hit us at 42 megahertz. So how can we help support ourselves in a different way? Well, we can eat fresh produce, which is helpful. It helps get us up a little bit, and using herbs is awesome. Fresh herbs even better. Meditation gets us up to 77 to 83 megahertz, and the positive thoughts are pretty darn close to that. So what can we do? Those things are all awesome, and we do those things. And we can also look at essential oils, because essential oils have their own frequency. And so here you have some essential oils on the left and their frequency with the diseases and illnesses on the right. And it just gives you an idea. And not necessarily do you have to knock everything out with the rose all the time. Just the other day, my husband and I are doing something. We're getting some kitchen remodeling done, and it's not going as well as one had hoped, or as we had hoped, or planned, right? And he was getting really kind of upset about the whole thing. And it's okay, he was venting, but it was getting really mucky. And I was like, I gotta get out of here, right? But I couldn't, because we were doing something together, right? So what I did is I came up and I got my oils out and I picked up On Guard. And it is the oil of protection and grounding. And darned if that didn't work like that. I was like, I felt so much better just with that. So when you're in a pinch, you're losing your steam and you really need to be on and don't have the time to recalibrate through your traditional means, essential oils are a great way to do it. And I've got a shopping cart all set for you. Again, the link will be in the chat if you choose to get some of those oils or look into them. Do some research. You can check out the chart. You don't have to buy. I mean, the cart. You don't have to buy. So what do you dream of? Yeah, don't let anybody steal your thunder. Don't let anyone say it's never been done before. Use that as your challenge. I was telling my boss that the other day. I said, yeah, but they said nobody does it that way. And he said, that is my challenge. That is when I look at them and I go the other way. If everybody's doing it this way and they're not living the way I want to live, I'm going the opposite direction. So I want you to consider what you dream of. When turtles fly, right? No, you can have it. You can create it because you have the power all at your fingertips. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. That is our greatest freedom. Thank you, Viktor Frankl. And if you like this idea, I'd love to have you hang out with more like-minded people. There's a membership, yourblissfuljourney.com/membership, and check it out. Thank you for your attention, and you're always welcome.